Hi, I'm Hannah Wallace and welcome to EBAday 2021. Kindly calling into our virtual studio now to speak on trends, ongoing disruption in the industry and the ultimate end game for cross-border payments. So we have Marc Recker, Managing Director, Global Head of Product, Institutional Cash Management at Deutsche Bank. So welcome back, Marc. It's good to have you on again.
Yeah, welcome, Hannah. Nice to meet you again.
Really good to have you on. And of course, it's been 2 years since we last spoke at EBAday about trends in cross-border payments. So let's start there. Can you bring us up to date with how those trends have developed and also tell us what's the same and are there any new forces coming into play as well?
Yeah, look, for me, I think there are several points and I will mention the top 4 of them. I think the most important one is the continuous development of client demand. When we look in the segment of B2B, so corporate clients, they're actually very much embracing the development that the industry has been already delivering a couple of years ago with Swift GPI. Clients do like the way that they can track and trace payment, that they have more transparency around the respective cross-border payment transactions. But the industry will not stop there. The industry is currently focused on with several initiatives to also improve the experience of the surrounding factors. There are initiatives like pre-validation or much more speeding up the investigation processes that will even increase the experience for our clients in the cross-border payment space. When it comes down to the retail or SME segment, that is, of course, a segment that doesn't want to pay too much for the transactions, wants to have it fast, wants to have it easygoing. And that is respectively also a trend that the industry has been observing and want to tackle. There is currently an initiative in the works where actually banks are collaborating to create a dedicated solution for low-value payments. And there, I think it's also really a game changer in that respect, whereby banks have been focusing on protecting existing business from corporate clients. That solution for low-value payments will bring us again the opportunity to regain market share going forward. A kind of a second topic that is also very important for the industry, if not the most important when it comes down to the technical changes, is actually the way for harmonization and standardization. The high-value payment space is moving to ISO 20022 standard. And that is happening over the next 4 years, and actually the banks have to deliver on it.
And of course, this is a really big topic at this year's event. So could you give us some examples and tell us why is it so important for the industry?
Look, examples, and I think the most important piece, harmonization and standardization is key. If you want to be more efficient in the cross-border payment space, you have to talk the same language. And for example, the introduction of ISO 20022, which is structured data set at the end as the baseline, is not only increasing efficiency by increasing straight-through processing, but is also improving processes like AML. It's improving processes for the clients like reconciliation. But also with the structured data elements, banks can develop value-added services on top of that respective move towards ISO 20022. For us, we see it definitely as the baseline for the future rails of payments going forward.
All right, so taking all of that into account, perhaps banks are juggling too much and involved in too many things at one time, which is a point I often hear. But would you say this is a fair comment? What's the end goal here?
Look, it is potentially something where banks need to decide it really on their own. There are, of course, the must-dos, like, for example, the migration towards ISO 20022. That is a thing where every bank needs to develop upon because that will be the new standard of cross-border payments. But also other developments, it depends actually where the focus of the bank is. And when it comes, for example, to Deutsche Bank, we always look at the respective market problem. What is actually the market problem and what kind of initiative and what kind of solution is out there that is fit for purpose? And that is something, of course, every institution needs to think about itself. But what is very important, we cannot simply stop with the mandatory piece. We always need to look for improving the experience for our clients.
All right, thank you, Marc. And to summarize then, what's the end game for cross-border payments and what can we expect from this space in the future?
I would say it's difficult to say end game. I think a lot of people do say cross-border payments should be as efficient, as cheap, and as good as domestic payments. But I think there is already some way towards that kind of stage because what we have been developing with Swift GPI, it goes into that certain direction. But what we don't have to forget as an industry is in fact the point where a cross-border payment is a different animal than a domestic payment. You need to have you need to understand actually the complexity around the regulatory environment, the different local market practices that you would need to embrace as well in the cross-border payment space. And that doesn't mean that we cannot improve. Yeah, and there are definitely things that the industry can improve. When you see, for example, latest development that are coming across around central bank digital currencies, that is something where actually the industry needs to think, even if it's early stages, what kind of roles the bank can play in the CBDC world and how could it potentially support the move to a much more frictionless payment experience in the cross-border space for our clients.
Brilliant. Well, Marc, thank you so much for calling in and sharing your insights. Look forward to catching up with you further down the line, but for now we'll leave it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Hannah.